Today's lesson is Chapter 3, Lesson 10, which can be found on pages 215 through 220. Our objective is I can divide and have quotients in my, I can divide and have zeros in my quotient. Vocabulary, quotient. Question 1, what are the 5 steps to a division problem? And it even gives you the first letters of those steps. So you'll get that in our video clip we're just about to watch. Question 2, one way to check your division problem is to, and you'll answer that. Okay, so let's watch an example video of what to do when there are zeros in the quotient.
This lesson is about zeros in the quotient. Now remember, when we do long division, we use the saying, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers, which stands for divide, multiply, subtract, compare, and bring down. So let's get started and try one of these problems. Alright, we have the problem 4,510 divided by 5. So the first thing I do is I follow my rules. I divide. 5 will go into 4 0 times. So I'm going to move on and make this 5. How many times 5 will go into 45? So I'm going to divide. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. I'm going to subtract. 45 minus 45 is 0. Compare. 0 is smaller than 5, so I'm good there. And then bring down. And now here's where things get a little bit different. We have 1. How many times will 5 go into 1? The answer is 0. So I need to write a 0 up here at the top, right above my 1. Then I keep following my rules here. I multiply. 0 times 5 is 0. Subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Compare. My 1 is smaller than my 5, so I'm okay. And then I bring down. I'm going to bring down my 0, which makes this 10. And then how many times will 5 go into 10? And the answer is 2. This is why it's so important to know your math facts. 2 times 5 equals 10. Then I'm going to subtract. I'm going to get 0. Compare. 0 is smaller than 5. There's nothing left to bring down. And I have no remainder. Now, let's look at what would have happened if I wouldn't have put that 0 in and I would have just made this 92. We can work this problem in reverse, because remember, multiplication and division are inverse operations. So 92 times 5. 5 times 2 is 10. I'm going to write down my 0, carry my 1. 5 times 9 is 45, plus 1 is 46. Now, 460 is not what I have right here. So I know I've gone wrong somewhere. Now let's try what the answer that we got. We got 902. If we take 902 times 5, let's see what we get. This is a great way to check your work. 5 times 2 is 10. You're going to write down your 0. Carry your 1. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And then 5 times 9 is 45. So I get 4,510, which is what I have right up here.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at that in your book. I'm on page 215. So this first example of math in our world is 327 divided by 3. So here our dividend is 327, our divisor is 3, and we're trying to find out that quotient. So you guys know this process. We're going to divide the hundredths first. So I'm going to get my pen. 3 divided by 3 gives us 1. And then 3 times 1 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. And now this is the compare step. I know sometimes we call it check, and in 4th grade they might have called it check. That's the same thing, but we're going to call it compare now. So now we just have to compare that 0 is smaller than 3, which it is. So now we're going to look at this 2. Well, for the 10 spot, so can 3 go into 2? No, and we can't look at it as 32 because we already got rid of this 3. We already used that. So what we're going to do here is 3 does not go into 2, so we're going to do 0. Because you might think we could just skip, like sometimes if it can't go into 3, we skip and make it 32. You might think we could just make it 27, but that would leave a blank spot here. So we have to put that 0 there. So now do your same steps. 0 times 3, well, we get 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. Now I can bring down this 7 so that I don't have this blank spot right here. So, well, first I compared. 2 is less than 3, then I brought down the 7. Now 3 goes into 27, and that is 8 times. Oops, sorry. 3 goes into 27 9 times. Know your math facts, guys. We're at a 9 here. Okay, 9 times 3 is 27. Sorry for my mistake. 27 minus 27 is 0, and I compare. 0 is less than 3, and so we're good. So the way to check it, remember, a way to check it would be to multiply this 109 times 3, and we would get 327. Okay, and here's another example on page 216. I feel like you guys should know your steps by now, so we're not going to go through the whole thing, but the main thing to keep in mind with this zeros in the quotient is, and let me show you where it comes up in here. Okay, so here you're just going through the steps. 4 goes into 5 one time, walk through it, bring it down. 4 goes into 12 3 times, but here's where we get stuck, because 12 minus 12 is 0. Well, then we bring down our 3, and 4 can't go into 3. We can't bring down the 7 yet. We have to put a 0 up here, because we can't leave the spot blank. So just make sure you're not forgetting that part. And then make sure you're always checking it, because if you check 1,307 times 4 plus the remainder of 3, you will get the dividend. And if you messed up and maybe you got 137 and then you times it by 4, you wouldn't get the dividend. So you would know you did something wrong. Okay, lastly on page 219, there's a homework helper that will walk you through the steps too. All right, so let's look back at our questions. Question 1, what are the 5 steps to a division problem? So that was in our little video clip that we watched if you need to look back. Question 2, one way to check your division problem is to, so I talked about that a lot, so make sure you write that down.